What is up, guys? Randomonium here with your Week 9 of Fantasy LCS predictions. In this video, I'm going to break down all of the matchups for NA and EU LCS for Week 9. And my goodness, we finally made it. We're at the last week of the summer split. And I wanted to take a moment to thank all of you for your support, for all the people who've been watching my videos since the beginning, and all the people who have continue to support me and found me along the way. Thank you. Thank you for supporting my videos. Thank you for watching them. I will continue to do analysis videos through playoffs and worlds. And I don't make any money doing these videos. I'm just looking to help people and hopefully make the community a little bit better. You know, if there's one thing I can leave you guys with this split, it's that it's impossible to move mountains by yourself, but if we all pitch in a little bit, we could definitely make a better community. So all I ask is that if you've gotten help from these videos, that you pay it forward and you help others in the league community, both in game and out of game. I also want to thank you guys for continuing to share my videos with people you think might find them interesting. I want to help as many people as I can, but the YouTube market is just really saturated. It's near impossible to kind of distinguish yourself and make your voice heard. And every time you guys, give me that thumbs up, or every time you share one of my videos, it helps me reach more people and hopefully help more people. So let's get into this final week breakdown. So in summary, the TLDR, if you guys can't watch the entire video, is that your easy points this week are going to be Envy, TSM, Immortals, Giants, G2, and Splice. Teams you want to avoid, that you want to keep on your bench: NRG, Phoenix, Apex, EchoFox, Rockhat, Origin, Schalke, Vitality. The risky players, the players I'm going to break down into a lot more detail as the video continues: Cloud9, Team Liquid, CLG, Fnatic, H2K, and Unicorns Love. Here are my rankings for Week 9 now. You can see they really have not changed that much. Yes, CLG ended up beating Team Liquid last week. However, I really think Team Liquid should have won that. They kind of threw it at the end. I still think that Team Liquid is a better team on paper, but I feel like CLG and Cloud9 are beginning to peak, and Team Liquid is not. So even though Team Liquid is a better team on paper, I think that if Team Liquid were to play CLG or Cloud9 right now, that they would lose, probably in a very close 3-game match. And then rounding out, I still think Envy is going to get that 6th spot. And Apex is going to wind up being that 7th spot. For EU, G2 is still definitely the top team in EU. Splice has proven that they are a serious contender, so I have them now at the number 2 spot above Fnatic. Fnatic's number 3, Giants is number 4, H2K is number 5, and we'll stay at number 5. I think they're a pretty solid number 5 pick. And Unicorns of Love has now moved up to the number 6 spot. Schalke definitely really shot themselves in the foot this past week. They've pretty much eliminated themselves from playoff contention. They'd have to, win both their games this week and have some miracles happen for them to make the playoffs. So I think Unicorns of Love has an extremely good chance at making the playoffs this split. So the crucial matchups this week are going to be Immortals versus TSM and Team Liquid versus Cloud9 on the NA side. These really will determine, the top 4 teams. And then over on the EU side, Unicorns of Love versus H2K, Schalke versus Vitality, Origin versus H2K, and Giants versus Fnatic are all matches that you really need to watch. Whoever loses the Schalke versus Vitality game will be eliminated. There's no chance for them to make the playoffs. And then the Unicorns of Love versus the H2K game, that's super important because they're kind of sitting that 5th and 6th spot. So yeah, If they tie, then that's probably the best for both teams. But if one of them loses, that opens the door for Schalke or Vitality to possibly swoop in. All right, nomenclature. The win, tie, losses in white. That means I think it's going to be a normal game, normal amount of points, about 30 to 35 minutes. If it's in red, that means I think it's going to be a stomp. That usually results in much fewer points for the team that loses and slightly less points for the team that wins. And if I think it's going, if the tie win loss is in blue, that means I think it's going to be a close match, possibly an upset. These games typically last longer, which means there are more fantasy points involved. But they're also higher risk. So just take that with a grain of salt. Next to each player's name, there are two letters. The first letter is what I thought they were going to be last week, and the second letter is what they actually were last week, and that allows you to track my progress and see how well my predictions were the previous week. So for teams, my S tier for week 9 is going to be Giant, Splice, Envy, and G2. Envy had an extremely hard week last week. This week they have a very easy week, so they have to perform this week. Their playoffs are on the line. They have to perform well if they're going to make the playoffs. So I do think they will rise to the occasion, and they will have an S tier week. For A tier, I have CLG, TSM, and Cloud9. You can see for Cloud9 versus Team Liquid, I do think that Cloud9 is going to win. Even though I think the Team Liquid is a better team on paper, I think Cloud9 is going to pull up an upset this week. But it's going to be a really close match. It's going to be hard fought, 3 games definitely, and it's going to probably result in a lot of points for both Cloud9 and Team Liquid. B tier, I have Immortals, Liquid, and Fnatic. Immortals is facing TSM this week. I do think that TSM will edge them out ever so slightly. However, Immortals is extremely hungry. After Phoenix beat TSM last week, that really opened the door for Immortals to come in and steal that #1 seed from TSM. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that match turns out. And then Liquid is a very good team, but they aren't peaking as fast as some of the other teams. So I'm a little bit worried about Liquid. They'll definitely make the playoffs, but they need to step it up this week. And then Fnatic has been performing poorly in my mind over the past 2 weeks, which is why they are so low this week. They're kind of in B tier. C tier, H2K, Unicorn to Love, Schalke, Vitality, and Apex. I don't think there's going to be any surprises with any of those teams. And then D tier, Rocket, Origin, Echofox, Phoenix, and NRG. Moving on to top lane. For S tier this week, I have Smitty J, Xpec, Wonder, and Seraph. Seraph was actually the lowest point scorer last week, and I think he'll be on top this week with Envy's easier matchups. Smitty J and Xpect have been performing fantastic, and Wonder is one of the most consistent point scorers in fantasy right now. He's near the top week to week, so I definitely have him S tier this week since Splice has a much easier week. A tier, I have Hanser, Huni, and Impact. This is probably just because those games are going to be close. I'm not sure who's going to win. So there definitely is room for upsets. There's definitely rooms for these top laners to get shut down and possibly lose out on a lot of fantasy points if certain teams target them. B tier, I have Darshan, Kikis, and Lorlo. The same thing applies for these B tier top laners. There's a lot more volatility in whether or not they'll get a lot of fantasy points this week. C tier, I have Odo, Ray, Vivasachi, Steve, and Cabo. I don't think there's any surprises there. And then D tier, I have Soaz, KFO, Parang, Quas, and Zig. Alright, moving on to the jungle. For my S tier in the jungle, I have Trick, Trashy, Meteos, and Rainover. Meteos came back very strong last week. Cloud9 performed fantastic. I think that they will have another very successful week. I don't know if it's going to be as successful as week 8, but I definitely think a lot of their players are worthy of that S tier. A tier, I have Dardog, Smithy, and Sven Skaren. Dardog also played fantastic. He definitely could be S tier, especially if Liquid wind up beating Cloud9, but it's a little bit higher risk. For B tier, I have Spirit, Maxlore, and Yankos. I don't think there's any surprises on that list. And then moving on to the C tier, I have Proxen, Gilius, Move, Shook, and Memento. Memento was definitely kind of surprising for Roccat. He definitely has a lot of potential. And then rounding out D tier, Amazing, Shrimp, Inori, Santarin, and Hard. And Nori played out of his mind on Phoenix. He really played amazing. It's unfortunate that his fantasy points are not reflecting that yet, but he definitely has a lot of potential. And it'll be interesting to see where he winds up next year because it's not guaranteed he's going to stay on Phoenix 1 for the Season 7. For mid lane, for S tier, I have Perks, Senkux, Knight, and Jensen. I don't think there's any surprises there. Jensen had some serious fantasy points last week. A tier, I have Bjergsen, Pobelter, and Phoenix. Phoenix has really been hard carrying Team Liquid lately, so he's definitely going to probably be their top point scorer on Liquid. And then B tier, I have Huhi, Ninja, and Febin. Fnatic has just been not producing the fantasy points you would expect. I think they'll turn around this week and they'll have a very competitive game against G2, though I do think they will lose. And then I think that they will be able to stomp Roccat. And then Huhi he's been kind of near the bottom of the barrel on fantasy points, but last week he was S tier. So I think that CLG will have another good week. It seems like they're peaking right when they need to in order to make the playoffs. For C tier, I have Ryu, Exile, Fox, Nukeduck, Power of Evil. Don't think there's any surprises in the C tier. And then for D tier, I have Betsy, Keen, Froggen, Pyrene, and GBM. Also no surprises. AD carry, S tier, Sven, Sunstar, Laud, and Kabi. Laud, I think, is going to come back very strong week 9. He has a ton of potential. He's definitely Envy's carry along with Seraph, but he's really been flying under the radar, playing fantastic when Envy has good matchups, and they have very good matchups this week. So I do think he will be S tier. So he could be a very good pickup for week 9 if you don't feel confident in your other AD carries. A tier, I have Sneaky, Wild Turtle, and Doublelift. Sneaky really could be S tier this week. I felt really torn putting him at A tier. He definitely is worthy of starting on most teams, so don't be afraid to start Sneaky this week. I have a feeling he'll put up a lot of points. And then Wild Turtle and Doublelift, they've been doing really well. They just haven't been the top point scorers week to week, so that's why they're in the A tier. B tier, I have Fabi, Stixay, and Reckles. Fabi and Stixay. Fabi has been way more consistent than Stixay. Stixay came back pretty strong last week. And then Reckles has been underperforming the past couple weeks, which is why he's only in B tier. Moving to C tier, I have Veritas, Mr. Rallis, Police, Freeze, and Toaster. Toaster actually has been doing really well considering he came in mid-split. He definitely has a lot of potential as an AD carry. Unfortunately, it takes time, and it's to get that LCS experience. You're playing in front of a bunch of people. It's nothing like solo queue, and even though he's mechanically gifted, he needs more time to mature as an LCS player. And then D tier, I have Steelback, Keith, Apollo, Mash, and OHQ. I don't think there are any surprises on the D tier. For support, I have Mithy, Hustlin, Hakuo, and Mickey X. Don't think there's any surprises up here. Splice is coming back in a big way. Envy is coming back in a big way. And then Giants and G2 are performing exceptionally well and have pretty good weeks. A tier, I have Smoothie, Biofrost, and Adrian. It seems like Cloud9 has decided they're going with Smoothie over Bunny Fufu as their starter. So I have Smoothie up at A tier because I do think the Cloud9 will do well this week. Biofrost has been playing out of his mind, so I do have him at A tier. He definitely could be S tier. And then, of course, Adrian is also a fantastic support. B tier, I have Matt, Aframu, and Yellowstar. Aframu's been underperforming most of the split. Last week, he was A tier. I think this week he could also be A tier, but I have him down at B tier. I think that's a higher probability than him being A tier or S tier. C tier, I have Vander, Hylissang, Spraddle, Kasing, and Hybrid. I don't think there are any surprises on that list. And then D tier, I have Raze, Big, Special, Gate, and Kiwi Kid. So in summary, my easy points this week are going to be Envy, TSM, and Immortals on the NA side, and then Giants, G2, and Splice on the EU side. The teams that you want to avoid, the players you want to keep on the bench, NRG, Phoenix, Apex, Echofox, Rockcat, Origin, Shaka, Vitality. Avoid playing those players. And then for those high risk, high reward players, you've got Cloud9, Team Liquid, CLG, Fnatic, H2K, and Unicorns of Love. So I hope you guys all enjoyed that video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. And if you're newly subscribed to the channel, please leave a comment. Let me know what you enjoy about the videos. Let me know that you're a new subscriber. I love to hear from you guys. I love to respond to your comments. And if you think there's somebody else that might enjoy these videos, please share them. It helps every single time you guys share a video. It helps. But I hope you guys have a great day. I hope you guys had a great fantasy league. I wish you all good luck with the rest of your solo queue for Season 6. And I hope that you guys will stick around for playoffs and for Worlds and continue watching my videos. So I hope you all have a great day. This is Randomonium signing off.